What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back for another episode of the 5 takeaways, where we're going to take a look at the 3-1 defeat at the Emirates and see what 5 things we can take away from them. And first up is away struggles.
Yeah, so Spurs now have only won 1 of their 5 away games this season, and our away form is something that we're going to have to start addressing because we've kind of been struggling a bit in our away games this season. Even in the one that we did win against Forest, it wasn't the best performance of the season. And if you look at the stats away from home, we've scored 6 goals in our 5 away games this season, whereas at home we've scored 15 goals in our 5 home games. And when it comes to conceding, we've conceded 8 in the 5. At home, we've only conceded 4 in 5 games as well. So that is something that I really haven't heard being addressed as a problem, and I think that's something we've got to look at, because away from home our performances don't seem to be at the same level at the moment as our home ones.
Look, I think that it's true, we do need to look at this away form, but I would caveat it saying that at home we've had much easier games than we've had away from home this season. When you're looking at the games that we have struggled in, that you're talking about Arsenal away, Chelsea away, West Ham away, games that we struggle in every season, never mind what manager we have. Yeah, Nottingham Forest in there, but we did end up winning that game. Home games, I mean, we've had relatively favourable home games so far this season, so it's hard to make a comparison between the two. But to score that many goals at grounds that we don't usually score that many goals in, maybe is a positive to look at, but we definitely need to turn this away form around, that's for sure.
Definitely.
Let's move on to the second takeaway, and that is a lack of cutting edge.
Yeah, and yesterday we really did struggle from that lack of incisiveness that we had in the final third that maybe we could have had if Kulusevski was on the pitch. And this is where we really missed him yesterday in that decision-making, and not just decision-making, but execution as well. We only had 17 touches in Arsenal's box yesterday, which is our lowest total of the season in any game. And I think a lot of it is to do with the fact that we didn't have that precision from Kulusevski and Son. And not only that, but Son and Richarlison were really letting us down with their final third passing as well, and their lack of incisiveness. So we struggled with that, and if we had a bit more cutting edge to us, we could have easily had a lot more chances and maybe a few more goals as well. But that was severely lacking, unfortunately.
Yeah, pretty spot on, to be honest. And people have been calling the need for a creative midfielder for a while now, and maybe that just highlights it a bit more. But I did, like you say, I think we were desperately missing Dejan Kulusevski and his incisiveness in the final third. Yeah, it was just hard to take really yesterday. Let's move on to the third takeaway, and that is red card killer.
Yeah, and if you actually look at the stats yesterday, like before, not just before the red card, but if you look at half time, we were actually leading if you look at the expected goals. We had 1.42 to Arsenal's 0.51. So despite a lot of despite Arsenal being on top and having possession, we were the ones looking to create the better chances and maybe have more clear-cut openings. But obviously, in the second half, once that goal went in and once the red card happened, it definitely changed. It definitely gave the impetus to Arsenal, and it was pretty impossible to get back in the game. And Spurs recorded an XG in the second half of only 0.08 compared to 1.42 in the first half, which was a massive difference. And obviously, after the red card, I don't think we had a single XG point. So the red card really did kill the game for us.
Yeah, and those stats just prove how in the game we were and how in the game we would have been if that red card didn't happen. So Emerson Royale really did screw us royally yesterday.
Definitely.
Let's move on to the fourth takeaway, and that is Kane on spot.
And that is, I think for me, Harry Kane was one of, if not our best players today, especially going forward and looking to create things and trying to make things happen. I thought he put in a really solid display, and obviously he got his 14th goal in North London derbies. But one thing to point out is of those 14 goals, 7 of them have been penalties, and he hasn't scored an open play goal at the Emirates since 2015. And is that something to maybe be a bit concerned about? That he hasn't been able to do it, or is it as long as he's scoring, doesn't really matter?
I think it's concerning. I'm not concerned about Harry Kane at the Emirates. I'm concerned about Tottenham at the Emirates, because it's a common theme how we don't show up and we don't put in a performance and we get overrun pretty much every time. So, I mean, it's very hard for your striker to create or to get chances from open play if that's what he has to suffer every year, week in, week not year in, year out at the Emirates. So I'm not really worried about Harry Kane in that instance. I'm just worried about the whole team every year that we go to the Emirates, really.
Fair enough. I would like to get at least one more non-penalty goal before he retires out of the Emirates. That would be nice.
One more, just one more, yeah.
At least. Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the fifth and final takeaway, and that is moving on.
Yeah. So I think when it comes to this game, I think we just got to put it behind us. We're still third in the league. We're still going fairly well when it comes to league position and when it comes to points totals and stuff like that. Look, we're only 8 games in. We've got some big games coming up that we can put behind us. We've got Champions League, which we need to do well in, coming on Tuesday. Brighton away might be cancelled, but for now, Brighton away on Saturday as well. So if we can get results in those games, we can put this game behind us, and hopefully by the end of the season, we'll be a footnote in the season rather than something that we remember for a long time. But I think we're still in a decent position, so hopefully we can move on from this game.
Yeah, and I think all you need to do is look at last season. You know, we got battered at the Emirates earlier on the season, which I think that performance at the Emirates last year was way worse than the performance that we put in this year. So I think that you need to look at the bigger picture. The season is a long, hard season, and if we, win something this year, which I think we can, and if we finish, and I still think we can finish above Arsenal as well. So if we do those two things, finish in the top 2 or 3 and win a trophy, no one's going to remember this game at the Emirates. So let's be positive. Let's stick with the team. Let's stick with Conte, and let's sing up for the lads in Tuesday night in Germany. So exactly. We'll see you all there. Thank you everyone for joining us today. That is our 5 takeaways. Let me know your take on the 5 takeaways in the comment section below. Like, subscribe and comment, and as always, come on you Spurs.